And so what you see is we're running a very rapid investment cycle. We're developing a city in cyberspace. We call that city Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Zella stands out with its simplicity and clarity. We've crafted an experience that anyone can dive into, whether you're a crypto expert or just a new to the crypto world. Now guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to Bitcoin Zella today and enjoy the new edge. MicroStrategy Executive Chairman Michael Saylor explains how investors should analyze his company that's valued at more than double its underlying Bitcoin assets.
The best way to think about MicroStrategy if you're an investor is we're the largest operating company that holds Bitcoin. So if you have $17 billion of capital of Bitcoin, that's permanent. So there's no redemption rights to that. There's ETFs like BlackRock or Fidelity that are comparable to us in size, but those are overnight deposits. So if you said, hey, I've got $17 billion in deposits, people can take the money out of the bank tomorrow. Well, they just basically are a trustee holding the money, and they return it when they're asked to return it. You can't leverage it, and you can't build businesses on top of it. MicroStrategy has permanent capital. So, for example, we can do things like we can issue convertible bonds on top of that capital. So if we have 16 to 17 billion in Bitcoin exposure, we have 4.2 billion in convertible bonds. The bonds we can issue fairly cheaply because we have a stock. The stock reflects the permanent capital of the Bitcoin, but that's not redeemable either. That means that it can generate a premium to the Bitcoin. So as people trade the stock and they trade the options on the stock trades at a premium to the asset value. And when the stock trades at a premium to the asset value, the company issues either equity or convertible bonds at a premium to the underlying assets. When we do that, we don't just put the money in the bank or in T-bills. We actually invest the money in Bitcoin. So you can imagine when the company issues, if we were to sell $1 billion of equity in the market and it's backed by 500 million of Bitcoin at 100% premium, then we buy the Bitcoin and 3 days later, we've generated a $500 million gain for our shareholders in Bitcoin. So that's very interesting. That generates what we call a BTC yield. Now, if we do the same thing with a bond, a $1 billion convertible bond, we don't do it at 100% premium. It might be a 200% premium because the bond comes at a premium to the stock. So when you go up 40% over a stock, which is 100%, now you're looking at something that looks like more like 180%. So now a $1 billion bond sold into the market's backed by $350 million of Bitcoin. We buy back the $1 billion of Bitcoin. We capture the $650 million gain, another BTC yield. So the real operating business of the company isn't the software business anymore. I mean, that's still there. It generates $75 million in cash flow, but one of those bonds would generate 10 years worth of earnings in 5 days. And so really MicroStrategy is pioneering a new market. We're issuing securities backed by digital capital, backed by Bitcoin, and then we're buying the Bitcoin back. So what that means is I could issue the bond in 1 week, buy the Bitcoin, capture the $500 million gain, announce it to the market. The stock would trade up. I could do another bond the next week. So instead of a traditional model where I raise $1 billion, I go find real estate in Auckland. I invest in the real estate, I leverage it up, and in 5 years, you determine whether I was smart or stupid.
During a recent appearance on the Markets with Madison podcast, which is hosted by NZ Herald journalist Madison, MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor stated that Apple should consider buying $100 billion worth of Bitcoin instead of a stock buyback. Buy a $100 billion of Bitcoin. It will go to $500 billion. You'll have a $500 billion business growing 20% a year. You will make $100 billion in investment gains a year. Your investors will look at it, and they'll add $1 trillion or $2 trillion to your market cap. And now the company will be valued 60% based upon the operating business, 40% based on the balance sheet, he said. He has stressed that MicroStrategy is taking advantage of digital transformation by buying Bitcoin. MicroStrategy is, of course, the biggest holder of the leading cryptocurrency by a huge margin. According to the data provided by Bitcoin Treasuries, its total holdings currently stand at $17.1 billion worth of Bitcoin. The company's stock has been on a tear this year, adding more than 182% on a year-to-date basis. Saylor has also noted that smaller S&P 500 companies could approach big tech if they decide to gain exposure to Bitcoin. You could take the bottom 98% of the S&P 500. If they bought Bitcoin, their performance could approach the big tech. The performance of the S&P index will move toward Bitcoin, he said. Bitcoin has spent over half a year consolidating within a downward sloping channel since hitting its record highs of $73,800. Despite several attempts to re-enter price discovery, BTC has remained range-bound ever since. Now traders hope the landscape is different. Analyzing the weekly chart, trader and analyst Rect Capital showed repeated stabs at the channel's upper edge, the latest coming this week.
It's a 5-year investment cycle. And if I was smart, after 5 years, I come back to the capital market and I say, I'd like to raise another $1 billion. Now I have to find another set of real estate in Auckland or Blenheim or Sydney or Melbourne. And it takes another 5 years to figure out whether it worked. So what you have there is heterogeneous credit, and you have a slow investment cycle. MicroStrategy has homogeneous credit. We're going to raise $1 billion, buy Bitcoin, show you that we bought Bitcoin, that accreted Bitcoin per share. The investors look at it, it's an immediate gain. We just lived through 5 years and 5 days. And then once we've done that fast, rapid investment cycle, what's your next idea? I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to buy another $1 billion of Bitcoin. And so if you look at that against the backdrop of this year, in the first quarter, we did an $800 million convertible bond. We bought Bitcoin. The market liked it. The very next week, we went back to the market, did a $600 million convertible bond, bought more Bitcoin. It was accretive. The market liked it. So what we do, we went back the next quarter. We did another $800 million bond. We bought Bitcoin. The market liked it. In the middle, we sold hundreds of millions of dollars of equity. And the next quarter, we sold more equity. We sold $1.1 billion of equity in Q3. We basically did that at a massive premium, so we captured a large BTC yield. We announced that, the market liked it, and then very next week we did a convertible bond, and that became a $1 billion convertible bond. And so what you see is we're running a very rapid investment cycle. We're developing a city in cyberspace. We call that city Bitcoin.
Bitcoin has experienced a rejection from the top of the downtrending channel, red, just like in the past, blue circles, he said. Its essential Bitcoin weekly closes inside the red resistance to avoid a deeper rejection from here. A weekly close beyond the channel top, currently at around $68,000, is already in sight as buyers keep up pressure and give bears little room for maneuver. Still early on in the week, Rect Capital concluded, generally we need to observe this downtrending channel resistance, red, for signs of weakening compared to previous rejections. On lower time frames, there is more cause for optimism thanks to daily closes already occurring outside the channel. With the recent move, it has finally broken out of the channel it traded in for most 2024, fellow trader and analyst on CryptoTrades told ex-followers. An accompanying chart further showed BTC/USD clearing its 200-day simple and exponential moving average cloud, something causing some struggles since the summer. Short mid-timeframe trend is also up, Dan CryptoTrades added. Recent days have continued the trend, with upward BTC price action spawning a chain reaction among investor capital inflows. Bitcoin investment vehicles globally have seen net yearly inflows of 360,000 BTC and are on track to surpass the Grayscale-led 2020 record of 373,000 BTC. Bettolundi, senior analyst at crypto analytics firm K33 Research, confirmed on October 18. Total net flows of the United States spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds have topped a record $20 billion, while total assets have reached a new all-time high of $65 billion. For context, it took gold ETF about 5 years to reach same number. Eric Balchunas, a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg, commented on the $20 billion tally. And do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Zella. The most important news will reach your inbox on a daily basis and for free. I do not know why you have not subscribed yet. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.